You can't imagine what I discovered when I started looking into organic products. There is an incredible disparity in the strategies of different retailers, and sometimes very strong, sometimes non-existent correlations between the factors that determine the offer and market shares. And there are some fairly simple ways to both grow the volume of organic products and increase the total margin for retailers. So my research on organic products will focus on compotes. And we are going to analyze, as you know the principle, the support that retailers provide in developing this category. So I'm interested in organic compotes for the following reasons. First, because when I decided a few weeks ago to start research on organic products, Emily from Circana told me, take a look at compotes. So of course I said yes to the teacher. Secondly, because conventional compotes aren't always great for customers' health. Let me give you a few figures. In France, more than half of fruits and vegetables from intensive farming are contaminated with pesticides suspected of being carcinogenic, toxic to reproduction, or endocrine disruptors. And for apples, it's 80%, which is simply explained by the fact that non-organic apples receive on average more than 35 treatments per year, 22 fungicides, 9 insecticides, 2 herbicides, and 2 growth regulators. This study by UFC Courchoisy actually shows that organic foods are much less contaminated due to the ban on synthetic pesticides. In this regard, our American friends conducted a rather interesting study, even if the sample size was a bit small for my taste. Indeed, as you can see on the screen, in just 1 week, households that switched to an organic diet saw the chemical products detected in their bodies decrease by an average of 60%, with a range from 37 to 95% depending on the compound. That's quite astonishing. And then when we look over the long term, as our German friends did in 2024, we see that things are not improving and that the worsening tends to accelerate regarding the number of harmful substances detected in fresh fruit from conventional agriculture. That's what you can see on this graph. The third reason why I'm interested in organic compotes is that beyond being much more respectful of people's health, organic farming, and this is also true for regenerative agriculture, is much more respectful of nature, soil fertility, and the quality of all terrestrial and marine ecosystems. Quite simply because these production methods require fewer inputs and less chemistry. And then fourthly, more broadly, organic compotes are a very good illustration of what has happened in recent years in the organic products market in supermarkets, and therefore of how retailers have supported the development of this sustainable offering. But according to Circana, the market share by volume of organic compotes is declining. This is what you can see on the screen, where the market share by volume has dropped from 11 to 9% in 5 years, after peaking at 12% in 2022. Please note that to conduct our research, we analyzed what happened in the appetized market, meaning we did not consider products sold in the fresh section, nor what was happening in the baby food aisle. So when we say market share is at 9%, you know that's an average, which is the most sophisticated form of lying since one retailer exceeds 20%, while another is lagging behind at 6%. So there is a very wide dispersion. And if I exclude retailer G, which is quite specific, the ratio between the extremes is still greater than 2, which is a lot. So we are going to try to understand this disparity between retailers by analyzing a few causes. Our first investigation today will focus on analyzing the share of the assortment dedicated to this category and the possible correlation with volumes. So let's look at what happened between 2020 and 2025. This is the table that appears on the screen. Well, there's quite a bit of fluctuation. The strategies of the retailers are far from uniform in absolute terms, even though the trend of a relative contraction in the assortment can be seen almost everywhere. Obviously, the question we're asking ourselves now is the impact of this contraction in the assortment on volumes. So now I'm showing you on the screen the regression lines for the years 2024 on the left and 2025 on the right. I have placed on the x-axis the share of organic products in the assortment versus the category, and on the y-axis the market share of organic compotes. And you can see that the R squared is clearly above 50%. So we are undoubtedly establishing the correlation between the share of assortment and the volumes. And when the organic market turned around in the years 2022 to 2023, the retailers pulled the rug out from under organic products, meaning they reduced the share of organic offerings in the compote market, which accelerated the decline in volumes and market share. So in conclusion, if all retailers were to offer significantly more organic products for sale, both in compotes and throughout their stores, they would be contributing to a more sustainable world by clearly improving the health of their customers and of nature, that is our soils, our oceans, and our ecosystems. And I don't think the overall profit margin of the category would be affected since, as you know, these products generally have good margins. It's important to acknowledge that as well. There you have it. I hope you've learned something, that this will make you think or that it will inspire you to take action to increase the share of organic products in as many categories as possible. So in a few days, I'll talk to you about the influence of price, still focusing on this category of organic compotes.